Welcome to episode 373 of the show. So, before we begin with today's recording, I'd like to apologize if you guys hear any pattering noises outside. That's because the rains are finally upon us. Or at least I'm hoping that the raining season is finally here because the heat has been coming unbearable in Abuja. And I hear from folks in Lagos that the heat in Lagos has also been quite tough as well. So I hope the rains are upon us so that we can have some respite from this sweltering heat. So, if nothing else, that's some good news that those of us in Abuja, at least in the central part of Abuja anyway, are going to have a very chilled morning on today, the 29th of April, 2022. So, for today's episode, I'd like to address the question if your boss is being unfair to you. That's because there are a couple of you right now who have eyes on being entrepreneurial, starting your own thing, but you currently work in some sort of, what should I say? You work either within the corporate structure or within another business that is currently being run by someone else. And so there's always that thing of whether Jim Ovia is being fair to you. That's if you work in Zenith Bank, for instance, or Zenith Healthcare, or Zenith, all the other businesses that Jim Ovia runs. And then if you're like me and you have a legal background, my academic background is in law. I mean, for those of you who've been listening for a while, so excuse me, you already know that part of my history. So if you're like me, or like I was in the past, you're working for a senior advocate. There's this thing, whether the senior advocate, whether the orga at the top is treating you guys fairly because he's only paying you like 60K every month or 100K every month. Or back then, when I was in legal practice anyway, I heard that in some cities, like in Kano, while I was serving in Kano, that there were some people who are being paid, I think, 20,000 a month. But this was a long time ago, so don't assume 20,000 naira in today's terms. Think 20,000 naira, but think more like 15 years back, something like that. I can't remember. I think my wife is 20 years at the bar. No, 10. Gosh. Anyway, I should go and check these things. But bottom line is, it's not 20K in today's terms. So for those of us or for those of you who are currently employees wanting to strike it out, sometimes there's grumbling within the ranks. Is Oga treating us fairly? And understandably so, because if you are a lawyer, you're a senior advocate, you have your own law firm, then yes, you do have a legal and a moral responsibility to make sure that people are paid a living wage and that folks are not stressed. And those obligations carry over too if you are a wedding photographer, or you're a business consultant, or a wedding planner, or an architect, or if you sell alternative energy solutions like solar. You need to make sure that you're paying people a living wage. So that obligation aside, sometimes the people on the lower rungs of the ladder don't have an appreciation of what it takes to keep a business afloat and the level of stress and pressure that bringing in sales, bringing in profits, building the bottom line, or rather, is that the top line? Bringing in the top line. I should speak to an accountant so I get these terms correct. Because I think in accounting, top line means one thing and bottom line means something else. Anyway, so folks at the bottom of the cadre and in the middle of the cadre don't have an understanding about the level of pressures and stress and that is placed upon those of us who have to make it rain when it comes to sales and business development. So subcontractors moan because I work through subs. I don't have any employees. So on the photography side of the thing, I have subs that I bring in every now and then when we have a project to execute that goes beyond me. So if you're a sub, you're probably complaining that Oga so and so or Madam so and so is not paying you a fair wage. Now, why am I talking about all of this? It's because recently I had to call a classmate of mine to congratulate her because she recently made partner at a law firm where she works in Lagos. Well, they have offices in Lagos and Abuja, and she's now a partner at the firm. She's the first female partner and the only female partner currently. And for those of you who have a legal background as well, you know how the whole thing works. At the top you have I think they're called the principal partners. I can't remember how it runs, but you have partners, you have principal partners, you have associates. What else? Founding partner. Okay, I can't remember how it works, but these are the different levels and the cadres. So if you came to a law firm, that's pretty much how things would sort of be would be arranged. And I think all the way down to the operating manager and then senior counsel, blah blah blah. But bottom line is, the higher up you get, then you now take on responsibilities for bringing in sales as well. So I called on my classmate to say, congratulations, you've been made partner. So that means now we're going to be basking in millions of naira and we're going to be having a sweet life. And so she laughed and she was like, yeah, there's some truth to that, but it also means that now part of the hassle of bringing in business is upon my head. And I told her, yeah, that true, part of the hassle is now on your head. You now have to, it's not just enough for you to show up, represent clients, execute documents and stuff like that, but you also have to make sure that you're contributing to the honeypot, that you're bringing in clients and high net worth individuals so that the business can grow. But I told her the good thing is that unlike before where you had a salary and that was it, so if your salary was I don't know what lawyers earn these days, but let me just guess that your salary is 200k a month and it's fixed at that, 200k, 400k or whatever. So at least now you get to keep a huge chunk of the pie. So if you're bringing in the client and the client is worth, the deal is worth, 500M for instance, then you know that a good chunk of that 500M goes to you and then the rest to the firm. And then out of that, everybody's salaries are paid and stuff like that. So I told her it's a heavy burden, but it is a good thing because now there's upside to what you do. So in the past, when you were employee or further down the rungs, your salary was your salary, but now you have a certain you have you partake in the uptake. So if there's any uptick, then you partake in that as well. So you bring in a big fish, you get a big reward. You bring in the small fish, you get a small reward, but there's going to be something in it for you. And so the reason why I'm making this podcast recording is just to let you guys know, in case you're not at the top of the food chain yet, it's to just let you guys know that it's not as rosy as it seems. So if you're a lawyer and you hear that the senior advocate and the founding partner both took in like 250M at the end of the year, but they're only paying you guys 300k and it's unfair and this and this and that. And maybe in a certain sense that is true. Could they pay you guys better? Yes, maybe they could. And it's the same if you're in a photography outfit. You hear that the lead photographer took home, 20M at the end of the year, but your own monthly salary only adds up to maybe 1M or maybe 2M at the end of the year. And is that fair? Is that right? Because after all, you're the one that took the photos at 20 weddings and stuff like that. And if you work under a wedding planner, the quarrel also would be the same. So in a certain sense, yes, I don't have access to the books, and so we don't know what is fair and what is not fair, but I guess you could always treat people better. But just realize that they do have the person at the top, the lead photographer, the lead wedding planner, the senior advocate, the founding partner, the CEO, the whoever it is, does take on a lot of responsibilities to make sure that the money does come in and that there's something in the honeypot so that it has to be shared at the end of the day. So it's just something to bear in mind that as you are there and as you're angry and you're disgruntled and you're ready to move up the food chain, and you should be, because that fire is essential to grow your business. Because when you set out on business on your own, if you're complacent, it's just not a good thing. I mean, what's the whole point of undertaking all this risk of being on your own, only to play it safe and then be complacent and then be average all the way? Because at least if you are an employee, you would have pensions and health benefits and stuff like that. So retirement would be a lot easier. Unlike setting out on your own, taking this whole risk, and then at the end of it all, you don't even have a nest egg to sort yourself out in your old age. So, bottom line, when you strike out on your own, when you leave that law firm because you're tired of the way senior advocate and founding partner are treating you, when you leave the photography outfit because you're tired of the way that the chief photographer is treating you guys or the chief wedding planner is taking you guys, just realize that you're going to become part of this game of trying to bring in the rain, trying to bring in the honey, trying to bake the cake so that there's a big enough pie for everybody to slice at the end of the day. And of course, when that time comes, you would also be reasonably concerned. No one would fault you with thinking about how much of the pie you get to keep, because of course you have school fees, you have a spouse, you have rent, and you would also like to have a little bit of leisure. Buy yourself a nice phone, go on holidays, what else? Drive a nice car, things of that nature. So, I guess that's just the point of today's recording. Anyway, if you're at the bottom and you are disgruntled, just remember that it's not all rosy at the top. And there actually is a reason behind why principal partner, founding partner, chief photographer, chief wedding planner, chief architect, CEO, whatever. There actually is a reason why they are keeping a larger piece of the pie, and that's because they're responsible for making sure that the pie is big enough so that everybody can have a share of it in the first place. So that's it for today's recording. I know, not directly related to sales. Well, actually, in a sense, it is related to sales, because when you become the chief everything officer, chief executive officer, principal founder, principal partner, chief photographer, chief wedding planner, chief architect, chief whatever it is in the business, you are going to be responsible for sales. And so all the things that we talk about over here on the podcast are going to come in really handy, because you can't bake the pie big enough until you know how it is to look for clients, who are the ideal clients that you should be targeting. How do you start the conversation with them? How do you initiate a relationship with them? How do you find out what's important with them? How do you move the relationship along? How do you secure the commitment for them to pay? How do you collect the money? How do you get them to come back for repeat business, referrals, and all that jazz? So the higher you rise, so the higher you rise along the ranks, then all the things that we talk about over here on the podcast become even more important. So that's it pretty much for today on this rainy day over here in Abuja. I hope that wherever it is that you are in the world, apart from those of you who are listening in, let's see, where else? In a desert country, like in Sudan, the top half of Sudan, for instance. So I hope the rest of you are having cool weather, apart from our brethren who live close to the desert. And I hope you guys have a fun-filled and profit-filled... Oh, already at the weekend. Okay, yeah, so I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and you get to chill with family, friends, and everybody. Relax. So, that's it for today. I'll catch you guys at the next recording tomorrow. Okay, yes, I don't have any engagements tomorrow, so I will be able to make tomorrow's podcast recording. So thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next recording. And I noticed that you binge listeners are still here at the moment, because the listening, what's that word? The figures, I can't remember what the technical jargon is. So the figures are still up. You guys are still listening in hundreds. So nice to see that you guys are still here among us. I hope you're finding good value on the show. Don't forget to reach out if you're listening on Spotify or Anchor. You can send me voice messages. I'll be able to get them directly, maybe even incorporate them on the show. So it'll be nice to hear from you guys. And remember, you don't have to binge. You can just subscribe and you'll get episodes as and whenever they drop. You receive the notification on your phone. So thanks for listening. I'm your host, Abuja-based sales consultant and event media professional, Tabishima Ayede. Thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next recording.